Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Yes. Howdy, and welcome to the In Wheel Time car talk show on iHeartRadio. Coming up, Buzz Smith on EVs. Plus, we have the events calendar and the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Conrad's out today. Glad that you could join us, however. It's a beautiful day in Houston, Texas.
The neighborhood.
Is he ready?
He looks ready.
Oh, Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Buzz Smith.
Still on his spaceship.
Are you in your spaceship, sir, this morning?
Yes, sir.
Well,
fully electric.
Yeah. Well, you're only missing the George Jetson helmet. That's all.
Actually, the low noise or the low speed noise generators that the EVs require, I was really hoping that the manufacturers make that like a ringtone. It's interesting you mentioned the Jetsons because I wanted mine to go as I was driving down the road.
As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine that owns a Tesla, and you can download that noise for that car and play it. So just saying, there's something for you to look forward to.
Were you demoted? Because last time you had Star Trek gear on.
Yeah, I'm now back in time. It's 2001.
Okay.
Very good.
Here you go, Hal.
Buzz, how have you been? What's going on in your life?
Oh, man, it's been so great this last month and a half. It was great to see you guys at the Houston Auto Show. Shortly after that, I went up to South by Southwest, and for the first time in real life, I got to see the Volkswagen ID Buzz. I really want that to be my next EV, but it won't hit the United States for 2 more years. So I think I'll just be happy that they named the vehicle after me and move on from there. But I got to have something before 2024.
Well,
the North Texas Auto Show was the first time in Texas that you could actually ride in an EV indoors. They had a great track set up for it. And they had, since they were doing it indoors and there were some liability issues, you couldn't drive the car, but they had people who would punch it on the back row there. And like Mike was saying earlier, it would throw you back in the seat. So during that time, I got to ride in an EV6, a Mustang Mach-E, and the big news, the F-150 Lightning. So that was the first time I'd ridden in any of those 3 vehicles. And the Mustang Mach-E and the EV6 are actually on my short list for my next vehicle. Also at that show, they had the unveiling for the first time of the Chevrolet Silverado EV. You couldn't ride in one. And there's only one in existence right now. So it was up on a stage and had the velvet ropes around it. So couldn't get in it, couldn't crawl around on it, but very impressive looking truck there. Shortly after that, a buddy of mine that actually worked the Houston Auto Show's display with me, EV display, called me up and asked me if I wanted to go on a secret mission with him up here in Dallas one morning. And so I met him and he was picking up his Rivian. And so I got to drive the Rivian R1T pickup, and it was really cool as well. And I don't know if you saw the news, but Jeep has unveiled their fully electric, I can't remember what they're calling the model, but it's, the off-road 4-wheel drive Jeep.
4xe, the right? Yes,
4xe.
Yeah, and that thing's going to go 0 to 60 and Tesla Model S plaid speed. So I think we're talking around 2.8 seconds to go 0 to 60. It's going to have over 800 pound-feet of torque. So that thing's going to be incredible. And then one last thing, when you guys were talking about the prices of the various EVs, always remember that there's a $7,500 federal income tax credit. And in the state of Texas, there's a $2,500 rebate. So there's $10,000 in government money when you pick up a new EV in the state of Texas.
I'm surprised that you're actually up there in the Dallas area talking to us today. I figured you'd still be lingering around Austin because a couple of days ago was the big opening down there at the Tesla factory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really wanted to go down there, but there is some stuff going on up here that I've got to get prepared for, so I didn't make the trip this time.
Well, speaking of which, I've got a story here from Automotive News. I want to read portions of it to you because I want to talk about charging. The Biden administration said senior officials held a meeting Wednesday with major automotive leaders, including Tesla CEO Elon Musk and GM CEO Mary Barra, to discuss electric vehicles and charging. The administration said in a statement there was a broad consensus that charging stations in vehicles need to be interoperable and provide a seamless user experience no matter what car you drive and where you charge your EV. And to kind of expand on that, there are two different charger plugs, if you will, one for Tesla and one for everybody else. And I think that that's what they're talking about there. They want to kind of make them all a standard plug. Am I correct?
Except for one thing, there are three different plug types right now. The Asian market, primarily the Nissan Leaf, uses what's called a CHAdeMO connector, and I believe in Europe that's already being phased out. So we're looking at VHS and beta or DVD and Blu-ray all over again. And Tesla is opening up their chargers, or they've announced that they're going to open up their DC fast chargers to non-Tesla vehicles, which will require an adapter, but those are out there on the market. But even today, there are adapters so that you can plug into just about any charger out there. And in the case of Tesla, a woman pulled up to the dealership I used to work at, wanted to use our charger, which was not a Tesla charger. And she showed me that hidden in the tail light was an adapter to connect a J1772 plug to a Tesla plug. So that was pretty cool that Tesla already has that built in. But I do think, yeah, we're going to see the end of these different plug types. And it's my hope that before long, we see the end of plugs entirely. At the Houston Auto Show, there was an inductive charger. So you just, pull up to it and it sits underneath your car. And just like your smartphone nowadays, where you don't have to plug them in, you just set the phone down and it starts charging on this surface. The EVs will have that. Now, existing EVs would have to have a modification put onto the underside of the car to do it. But I'm expecting in the future, because there is damage happening to these charge cords out there. People aren't, putting them back on the charger. They're just leaving them laying on the ground, and another car might run over it or something. So I think in the long run, at least away from your home residence, we've got to get away from plugs. It's just a dumb thing to do. It just makes sense to pull up on top of a surface and your car magically starts charging.
Well, I want to finish this story. So Elon Musk has often been at odds with the White House, frequently firing off harsh tweets directed at President Joe Biden. In February, Biden publicly acknowledged the role of Tesla in U.S. electric vehicle manufacturing after Musk repeatedly complained about being ignored. Congress last year approved $7.5 billion in government funding for EV charging stations, but legislation is stalled for new tax incentives to purchase and build EVs. Ford Motor Company CEO Jim Farley, Chrysler parent Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, Lucid CEO Peter Rawlinson, and Nissan America's chair Jeremy Papin were among other leaders who took part in Wednesday's meeting, which discussed U.S. funding to create a national network of 500,000 chargers. So my question to you is, why are we relying on your money, my money, Mike and Jeff's money? Because we never funded gas stations across the United States. We let private industry do that. Why isn't private industry stepping up and doing these charging stations?
If I had to take a guess, I would say it's because the American public is so uneducated that it's just not going to happen that way. What we can't see, or we actually should wait, just like we did with cell phone towers. I mean, there used to be a period when I drove from Dallas to Fort Worth that for 3.5 hours, I couldn't make a phone call.
Yes, I remember those days.
Yeah, and I had a big bag phone. I'm an early adopter of technology, obviously. So I had a big bag phone, and it was no big deal. It's a completely different thing when you're driving a car and you can't make it to Houston. Now, you can easily make it to Houston. Don't misinterpret me here. There's plenty of chargers to do that drive. But it's chicken and egg. Do we build all these chargers when we only have about 2.5% of the cars in the U.S. electric? And
Exactly.
Most of those people, the vast majority, are just going to charge at home. In 10 years of driving electrically, I plugged into public chargers maybe 10 times. So the fact of the matter is, this is not like gas stations. You are not going to charge on the road unless you live in an apartment and can't plug in at home. And more than likely, you'll plug in at work or at a restaurant or at a movie theater or a lot that's specifically for that sort of thing. So the problem is, the mindset is, this is exactly like filling up a car with gasoline. No, it's not. The profit margin in that electricity is much, much smaller. So I don't think we're going to see that build out and accelerate with private funds until we see people understanding how EVs really work. Now, you mentioned the Biden infrastructure bill that did pass, the first one, that had 500 million, I think it was, dollars for EV charging infrastructure. And that's going to put 500,000, I think it may have been 5 billion actually, but it's going to be 500,000 new chargers on the major interstates of the country, because that's where you really need DC fast charging.
Yep.
For inner city long distance driving.
Yep.
So Buzz, let me, not to get too far sidetracked, I think it's got to be consumer driven other than what's driving it now. But as far as those chargers that they're putting in, going back to the experience I had with the Mach-E, I drove it over here to Houston from where I was. It's 112 miles. It's at 175, 178 miles range. Well, I burned up almost all of that getting here. But when I got ready to leave, I went into the computer and it told me here's where the chargers are. I picked the close one. I went over there to charge it.
Whole Foods.
Uh-huh. Plugged it in, charged it for an hour. It timed out. Okay. But it didn't, I only was at 45%. It did not give me 80%. It did not give me enough miles to get home. So instead of sitting there and having to go through the rigmarole with a credit card and all that stuff again, I started looking and I found another charger, and I realized it was a bigger charger. The one I was at was a 50 kilowatt. I think that's how it's rated. Then over here at the Walmart down the road about 2 miles, there's one that's 150. So I went down there, and in 30 minutes, I got as much as I got in an hour at the other one. But I did not know there was a difference in the chargers.
How do you know, Buzz, when you pull up to it, whether the thing is going to take an hour for 40% or 30 minutes for an entire full tank?
Well, part of it will be based on the car. The Chevy Bolt EV, for instance, has a max charging speed of 50 kilowatts. So for each hour you're plugged in, you're going to get about, I think it's 100 miles of range. But the other side of it is, yes, there are chargers that can go up to 350 kilowatts. And up until now, it's been the very, very, very most expensive EVs that could take that fast to charge. Now, when you plug into a charger, the car and the charger talk to each other. So there's never a fear that it's going to charge your car too fast and burn up your battery or anything like that. The car tells the charger how fast it can take it. So what I'm getting at is, you can take a 50 kilowatt car like the Chevy Bolt EV, plug it into a 350 kilowatt charger, and it's still going to work. It's just going to be slower because the Bolt EV charges slower. Now, to answer your question, there's an app for that, as Steve Jobs would say. Things like PlugShare, a better route planner. There are tons of apps out there, and they tell you specifically what the speed the chargers are, and you can even filter it by that speed. So if you've got one of these cars that can take 350 kilowatts, you can say, okay, I just want to search for DC fast chargers that can give me 300 kilowatts or more of charging speed. It'll show you on the map where they are. You tap on one, get driving directions to it. So welcome to the EV world. There's things to learn as a newbie, and one of them is, how do you find the best charger for you to use? And in a pinch, where can I find any charger I need? There are apps that handle that.
Well, I think that you'll agree that the bottom line is that all of this is new to most everybody, certainly including me. And I think that over time, that all of these, what I'll call hiccups with things like Mike dealt with last weekend, that those will resolve themselves over time and fairly quickly, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. It's just going to be like the cell phone market. I mean, there's almost nowhere you can go other than national parks now where you don't have cell phone coverage, or maybe way out in the West U.S. and some fairly deserted areas. The same thing will happen with chargers.
Yeah.
and I think you're right. I mean, I agree with that, because obviously 2 days into driving this vehicle, and I didn't understand and drill down in far enough in the app, but once I kind of figured that out, the next time I needed to charge it, I could drill down into it, say, okay, I want that 150 kilowatt charger. Where can I find one? Well, it's 14 miles away. And so, okay, so I went over there and got it charged and came back, and, and all's good. But, this goes back to some of our earlier conversations in the year and last year.
When Don Armstrong plugged in his to the house current at 110 volts, and it was going to take it 4 days to charge.
Exactly, yeah. But, I mean, it goes to this lifestyle change that when you make that commitment to the EV, and again, this, as I've learned since then, this one that I had, the GT all-wheel drive, it's got the bigger battery. It's got a little bit bigger motor in it, and so it takes a little more juice to run it.
Although I will say this, my buddy that I work with, he bought a new Tesla, and he charges it at home, never has any problems. However, there happens to be in our parking lot a newly installed electric charger for cars. So he's going to go steal the electricity up front.
Right.
Instead of at home.
And I'll bet you
Think
that,
about that. That's pretty amazing that the fact is there are places you can go and fill up for free.
Yeah.
So when's the last time that happened to you at a gas station?
hey, and I'll tell you, there's a place right over here called First Colony Mall right outside of
Yep.
Macy's. And by golly, you can pull up in that space out there and plug it up while you do your shopping for free.
Even the outdoor area.
Now
that
this
Don's
is the
talking
thing,
about.
though. Yes, you can do it while you're going to do your shopping. If you're and typically the free electricity is what's called a level 2 charger. So you're only going to get about 25 miles of range for each hour that you're plugged in. So why is the mall giving away electricity? Well, that 25 miles, if you're getting about 4 miles per kilowatt hour, is 6 kilowatts. So at 6 kilowatts, and in Texas, it's 10 cents a kilowatt, you're looking at the mall spending 60 cents in electricity to get you to stay an hour. That mall spends tons more in advertising trying to get you to come there.
Sure.
If they
Yeah,
just put up a charger, give you 60 cents of electricity, and you, as a cheap guy, want to stay and get free electricity.
I resemble that
Or
remark.
have a charger that drains your car so you
Yeah.
stay longer.
Yeah, but think about it. You're going to stay at that mall longer, and then, what are you going to do? Well, you might go to the food court and spend some money, or you might go, oh, look at that. I think I got to buy that. So, it's completely self-serving. They're not doing it to
absolutely.
save the planet. They're not doing it to drive EV adoption. They're getting into your wallet, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So,
As long as
that's-
you understand how it works.
And we used to talk about how people would pull in, or at work, they would pull in, they would plug their vehicle in and leave it all day while they're at work. Well, the one thing I learned on these chargers that I'm paying for, the bigger one came up and said, okay, you're going to charge here. When you get 80%, it starts notifying you. But when you're fully charged, you got 10 minutes disconnected, or it's going to start charging you again for taking up the space to keep somebody else from charging. So it's not going to sit
And they
there all day.
absolutely should.
Well, I agree.
They're-
Makes
Yeah.
sense, but I just, that's another one of those things I learned.
Well, Buzz, clearly Chevrolet came out this week that they're actually already building the Bolt again after it being put on hiatus for however many months it's been. So apparently they've got the battery issue worked out where it doesn't catch the car on fire. And so I think that, and you said that you were in a Rivian recently. There are more and more EVs coming onto the market every day, and I would imagine that some of those that we've been talking about now for the past couple of years, they're going to reach market this year as well.
Oh yeah, and this year and next year, there are so many cool vehicles coming out. I saw an Ioniq 5, by the way, on the way to South by Southwest on the road. So this was a consumer driving their brand new Ioniq 5, which is the sister to the Kia EV6. And it was just a gorgeous car. Now, he was going a little bit slower than I like to drive in Texas, so I went ahead and passed him. And when I got in front of him, EV drivers are sort of like Harley riders. We always kind of salute one another. And so I rolled down the window, stuck my thumb up outside, and he was flashing his lights at me and everything. So we were having fun on the road. But that was the first time I saw the Hyundai Ioniq 5 in the wild. Very nice looking car. But I think the general public just doesn't understand how fast this is about to happen, because all new technology starts being adopted very slowly, and then suddenly it clicks in the minds of the public and it takes off like a rocket. We can already see that curve happening in the United States. EV adoption is accelerating. It's doubling already year over year, and it's about to start tripling, quadrupling year over year. So it's an exciting time to be involved in this world. I've been driving electrically almost 10 years now, and it's been agonizing getting to this point. But I'm telling you guys, it's going to get really exciting real fast. And that Rivian truck, holy cow, that was something else. Now, it's out of my price range at the level that my friend had bought, but it was a hoot to drive. And I shot some video with the drone and all. He was doing donuts, kicking up some dust and all. So I'll get that video out on the YouTube channel pretty soon. But I'm telling you, the truck drivers, are going to be the people that change the country to EVs, because those are the ones that had the biggest resistance. And I've literally had people tell me, I've hated EVs all these years, but I know now that my next truck will be a Ford F-150 or Chevrolet Silverado EV or a Rivian. They're all saying this now. And like the Tesla Cybertruck, we've been waiting a long time for that to come out. It's going to be built right here in Texas. But at the Cyber Rodeo, Elon Musk did announce that it's coming out next year.
Yeah, Don and I talked about that this morning before the show. How many EVs do you have your deposit on? Because I think the last time we talked, you had several. You still have that out there?
I have 3 right now, and I've been tempted to go for a 4th, but I'm just
what are they?
holding off.
What are they?
The Kia EV6, the Fisker Ocean SUV, and the Chevrolet Silverado EV. And I'm not a pickup truck guy, but that truck is just gorgeous. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's crew cab, and on the back wall of the crew cab below the window, that wall folds down when the seats fall forward.
Oh yeah, like the avalanche.
I think they showed a 10-foot, piece of wood being slid into it, and then being able to still hold it in the bed of that truck. Phenomenal idea. But if I had enough money, I'd probably put a deposit on the Ford F-150 now that I've ridden in one. Probably the Mustang Mach-E, because I love that car as well. It's like a kid in a candy store for me. I'm having a tough time.
Next time we talk to him, he's going to be opening up an EV lot.
Well, I'm
selling EV onlys.
There's an abandoned or closed gas station. I'm thinking about run some extension cords in there and make it an EV.
Buzz, it's always great to
extension cords when charging an EV.
Buzz, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure, and we'll talk to you over the summer.
Thank you,
Sounds
sir.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Love talking to him.
Yep.
It's always fun. Time now for some of the stories making headlines this week. First of all, let's do recalls, okay, because we've got a bunch of them. Windshield wipers may fail on the Chevy, the GMC, Equinox Terrain, respectively, 2014 through 2015. A Volkswagen Taos and the Volkswagen Tiguan, 2021 to 22, rear suspension knuckle may break. That's not a good thing.
No.
Pretty much every Audi that known to man is being recalled because of a blocked turbocharger oil strainer, 2013 through 2017. Jeep Grand Cherokee tether weld missing from the seat back frame, 21 to 22. If you got kids, that would be important. Chrysler Pacifica and Voyager, 21 to 22 model years, seat not properly secured.
Those are minivans. Can't have that.
Again, every Mercedes, I think, ever built. No, from 21 to 22, steering wheel hands-off detection software error.
Hands-off detection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in other words, you need to go in for that. Software error may deactivate control panel from deviate. Mercedes-Benz EQ for 2022. Ford Bronco Sport and Escape. Engine oil leak, Expedition, every Ford, I think, again, 21 to 22, the trailer brakes may fail.
Now, Conrad's always said there's a safety and then there's a convenience on some of these.
Rear axle carrier may fail in the Mercedes-Benz for 22 on the S500 and S580. Trunk emergency release may fail in case you get stuck in the back of a trunk while you're being snuck into a drive-in movie. And the Genesis and the Hyundai for 2019 through 2020. Hyundai Santa Cruz and Santa Fe for 22. Turbocharger oil supply pipe may leak. And same thing for the Kia Sorento 2022. And those are the recalls for this week. Always, it's safercar.gov. Type in your VIN number, and you can find almost immediately whether or not your car has been recalled. Elon Musk could have broken securities laws again by missing a disclosure deadline when he bought 9% of Twitter. Meanwhile, Twitter named Musk to its board of directors, and Securities and Exchange Commission regulators could use any shortfall to try to punish Musk more for other lapses, some believe. Musk on Monday disclosed that he bought a 9.2% stake in Twitter, making him the site's largest shareholder and triggering a rise of more than 27% in the company's shares.
Was it like $8?
I don't know. U.S. securities law requires disclosure within 10 days of acquiring 5% of a company, which in Musk's case would be March 24th. Late report could lead to per violation civil penalty up to $207,000 when adjusted for inflation. That
Wow.
$207,000. He's got watches that are more
Yeah,
expensive.
he
than
paid
that.
more commission. He paid more than that on commission to buy that stock.
You know that.
Wow. $8 I'm talking.
Uh-huh. And National Highway Traffic Safety Administration on Tuesday said it's opening a review to ensure all defective batteries produced by LG Energy Solution have been recalled by automakers. Auto Safety Agency noted Mercedes-Benz, Chrysler parent Stellantis, GM, and Hyundai have issued recalls since 2020 due to internal failures in high-voltage vehicle batteries that pose fire risks.
Wow.
If
Thermal events.
If you own a EV, that may be something that you want to look into because a bunch of them have been recalled, and apparently they're not getting recalled. Figure that one out. All right, time now for a quick break. I want to remind you that if you'd like to get in touch with us, our address is info@inwheeltime.com. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show returns after a brief break. Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 18th, 2022. It's the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, and you're invited. Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition will be at the same Loopy Tortilla in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. on Saturday, June 18th. It's the only place cruisers compete for trophies and other prizes. Enter your vehicle for Best Hot Rod, Best Classic, and Best Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos is Houston's coolest cruise-in and is your opportunity to see the best hot rods, show cars, classics, and resto mods, and get Loopy Tortilla breakfast tacos and adult beverages. There's no entry fee, and cars will automatically compete for custom Loopy trophies and other prizes. It all happens at the Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Kick off summer with Tailpipes and Tacos Father's Day edition, Saturday, June 18th. The In Real Time Car Talk Show will be there too. Celebrate Father's Day, the start of summer, and the return of Tailpipes and Tacos. Saturday morning, June 18th, 8 to 11. We'll see you then, weather permitting.
Tony Stewart Racing joins the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series, and his drivers, Leah Pruitt and Matt Hagan, will face off against NHRA stars including the legendary John Force Racing Team. Don't miss this battle of horsepower and performance. It's the final NHRA Spring Nationals event at Houston Raceway Park. Don't miss it, April 22nd through 24th. This is your last chance for nitro action in Baytown. Tickets at HoustonRaceway.com.
And be sure and listen for our live broadcast from the Spring Nationals. That's coming up in just a couple of weeks. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is now part of the iHeart family. Now you'll have access to 24/7 Car Talk anytime you need a fix. Just download the iHeart Radio app and ask for In Wheel Time Car Talk, and there we are. Be sure to save us in your iHeart library for instant access. No matter where you are, you have the best Car Talk Show right on your PC, laptop, or mobile device and never have to worry about finding us again. Of course, you can always get access to our video and audio streams via InWheelTime.com and your favorite podcast channel, and all of this is free to you. From the iHeart Radio app, you'll not only hear our Saturday morning live show, but the best shows of the past, updated weekly. Never miss a minute of up-to-date new car reviews, pre-owned reviews, Conrad's Car Clinic, informative interviews, automotive news, and the most fun car talk show on the planet. Just download the iHeart Radio app, search for In Wheel Time Car Talk, save it to your library, and with a tap of the icon, you'll be in touch with your favorite Car Talk team. In Wheel Time Car Talk, streaming now on iHeart.com/In Wheel Time Car Talk. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.